Let's go back to one of our top stories today. A new reaction to the Senate's top Democrat preparing perhaps a plan that will dramatically change the way that Washington works. Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid of Nevada is reportedly flirting with the idea of triggering the so-called nuclear option. That would be a rules change that would give the president greater power because it would allow the Senate to approve White House nominees with a simple 51 majority vote. But going through with that, of course, carries some very serious political risks down the road if the parties in power flip around. Joined now by Republican strategist Jonathan Collegio, Director of Communications for American Crossroads, and Emily Tisch Sussman is a Democratic strategist. Emily, let me start with you. Do you think this is what Harry Reid has in mind, the nuclear option?
I think it does seem like it's looking more likely. And honestly, it's been difficult to get any business done. And I think the American people are just sick of seeing stall after stall after stall. There was some reform early in January when we talked at the beginning of this term, and this option has always been on the table. What they're actually talking about doing is going to a 51 vote just for executive branch nominees. We'll still have the 60 vote threshold for both judicial and for legislation, which is new laws.
All right. But, Jonathan, the reason that that's in place is to keep a check on executive power. You might like it when your party is in power, but you might not like it so much when it's not.
Well, here, and there's also some important context that we need to get into here. I mean, the Senate has passed more than 1,500 of the president's appointments, including all of his cabinet appointments. So this is not a crisis. This is a case of the president and the Democrats trying to ram through three of the president's most radical appointees to very, very powerful labor posts and changing the rules to do it. This is short-sighted. It's a bad precedent. I mean, President Barack Obama, when he was a senator, had said that going into the nuclear option was a bad idea, as did Harry Reid. This is a bad precedent because if the Democrats do this, they have to remember that the Republicans will have those exact same rules if and when they win the Senate in 2014 and beyond.
Yeah, Jonathan's touching on something here with the National Labor Relations Board and the suggestion that this is a big thank you to the unions for being so instrumental in, channeling money into Democratic coffers when it comes election time. And Harry Reid in particular was benefit of that, and this may be his time to pay them back. Emily, what do you think?
Look, I mean, two of the nominees that the president has nominated are actually management-side labor lawyers. All they're trying to do is keep the National Labor Board functioning. If you're an American worker, a lot of what the National Labor Board has been talking about recently is free speech rights. So, if you're an American worker, and we've all thought about this, maybe going to our Facebook, going to our Twitter, complaining a little bit about management, if you can be fired on that, which is what's happening right now, if the National Labor Board stops functioning, there'll be no resolution on it. It will still stay in limbo. We want to be able to have final resolution. The only way we can get that is if we have total finality with Senate confirmations on the National Labor Relations Board.
So it's just about Twitter freedom of speech, Jonathan. Relax.
There's also some history here that we need to get into. I mean, President Obama has been at odds with the labor unions on a lot of issues over the last couple of years, from Keystone Pipeline to his war on coal, to some of the trade agreements that he's signed. And here he has the opportunity to bring in, and remember, there are 5 people on this board. 3 of them are radicals. Right. 2 of them have to be Republicans by the way that they agree with these things. So he's going to try to push through these things. It requires changing the rules. It's incredibly bad precedent and very, very short-sighted. It's a way, basically, of the president being able to ram through this is giving the labor unions a Christmas present that they did not get. It's a belated Christmas present to them from the 2010 and from the 2012 elections because they really were the get-out-the-vote machinery for the Obama re-election campaign in 2012. Emily,
what say you?
Sure. The Senate Republicans have been very good at blocking all legislation that moves through. And now they're trying, so they really disabled the legislative branch. Now it looks like they're trying to disable the executive branch from functioning. The National Labor Relations Board are not the only nominees they're holding up. They're also
I think we're almost forgetting that there is a balance of powers in this country, that there are co-equal branches of government, and the Senate Republicans are using the rules in front of them to do what they think is right. And if the president is unable to get his appointments through by just appointing people that are in the middle, I think that that's a failure, his failure to govern. It's a failure of the Democrats in the Senate to be able to do things without actually breaking the rules in order to get their nomination.
And Emily, just to get back to the original point, how politically dangerous might it be for Democrats down the road when Republicans, if they regain power in the Senate, give them a taste of their own medicine with this?
Without question, the filibuster is definitely a way for the minority to control what is moving through the agenda. And there may be a change in the balance of power, but there's also been a change in the way the filibuster has been used. The filibuster was not traditionally used for every nomination, every executive branch, every piece of legislation that comes up. As it's been used more and more, perhaps it is time to take a look at how we look at votes. Maybe a majority is good enough to bring a bill to the floor, to bring a nomination to the floor.
All right.
Harry Reid in the past had said that doing away with the filibuster would ruin the country. He was right then. He's wrong now. This is a terrible idea.
Jonathan, Emily, thanks a lot, you guys.
Thanks so much.